So we've been finding our characteristics from our graph, and then we had the equation, and now we're comparing bits and pieces of it with our information to see what a pattern is. So we're looking at the axis of symmetry on this one, right? So remember, our axis of symmetry is always the x value of the vertex, right? So, and you always write it as x equals a number, so that's why we have that here. Okay. So if we're looking in terms of our equation, this one may be a little bit harder to figure out. Okay? So if we look here, well, we know we multiplied these two together for our y-intercepts. We changed the sign here for our x-intercepts. Maybe let's kind of look visually here. So we have these x-intercepts. Well, I notice this is halfway in between, right? This is halfway in between, this is halfway in between. That axis of symmetry is always halfway in between two points that are on the symmetrical side, right? Well, that means if we know how to get these x-intercepts from the equation, if I get the x-intercepts from the equation, I can go halfway between my x-intercepts. Well, how do we talk about halfway in between? Well, we also have something called the midpoint. Okay? That's the middle point between two things. The other way to think of that is that you're just really averaging these values. So if I take these two x values and I average them, right? Remember, averaging, you take all the things, add them together, and divide by how many you have. So in this case, we have two x-intercepts. So I add the two x-intercepts together. So I take the 1 and the -3. So when I do the 1 plus the -3, and then I cut it in half because there was two of them, that gives me -2 divided by 2, which gives me -1, which notice is our axis of symmetry. Right? So this one may have been a little bit harder to see, but hopefully you can see it now. So if we take a look at this one, right, we have our x-intercepts. So first, to find our x-intercepts, we change the signs of both of these. So this would be at 2 and at 6. So I'm going to take the value of 2 and 6. I'm going to add those two things together when we're finding the average. There was 2 of them, so I'm going to divide by 2. So this gives us 8 divided by 2, which gives us 4. Or you can kind of think visually 1, 2, 3, 4, so we go halfway in, 1, 2, so then that's what our value is. But if you only have the equation, right, to graph it and then find it pictorially like that is a little bit more of a pain. So we like to be able to go from the equation. So I can say, well, my x-intercepts, I change the signs here, so that's our 2 and 6, add together, divide by 2. And that gives us our x value of the vertex, which is our axis of symmetry. Right? If we try it here, right, we change the sign here, which is +0, so it's just 0. Change the sign here, so that's -4. So we're taking 0 and -4, and then we're cutting that in half to find the average. So we get -2 cut in half, which gives us, -4 cut in half, which gives us our -2, which is our axis of symmetry. Right? So anytime that we have our axis of symmetry from our factored form, you can take p plus q divided by 2, or you can think it's the average of your x-intercepts. Okay? And that will get us so that we can find our axis of symmetry.